Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the movie Lift. It is on Netflix. That is where I watched it, and it came out this year, and it stars Kevin Hart. That's honestly what got me interested in it because I like watching his movies, and a lot of stuff that he's in was good to me. And this one was a little different. It's more serious, a little more action. So I was like, why not check it out? I do a lot of movies like this, so if you're into this type of stuff, then please think about subscribing. But let's just get into it. So the movie starts off in Venice, and apparently there's like five people. We got Cyrus, who is played by Kevin Hart. He's the boss. Camila, the pilot. Misun, the hacker. Magnus, the safecracker, and Luke, the engineer. So what's going on is there's this auction with a bunch of very expensive art going on, and it looks like that the boss Cyrus, they got this team together and they're about to steal some art. Really, it's an NFT that they're after, but I'm getting too ahead of myself. So right now, it looks like there's this government group called Interpol, and they're watching Cyrus. They're after his group. They've been watching him for a while, so they're like, they think they're getting the jump on them. Turns out the whole time, Cyrus and the group knew that they were there. They were basically daring them to be like, catch me if you can, that type of deal. And if I do look down this video, that's just me looking over my notes, trying to make sure I don't miss anything while I'm talking. But yeah, this whole thing was basically a setup, but like I said, they knew that they were there. So while this whole thing is going on, Cyrus, he's bidding on this NFT, like I said earlier, by this very well-known artist who sells a bunch of NFTs. And he outbid everyone, but it's a heist. So his team is making it seem like there's an emergency. They're trying to get everybody out. And apparently they kidnapped the artist without him knowing. This leads into like a whole boat chase scene where the agents are trying to get to Cyrus because they think he's trying to steal the NFT, well, they think he's trying to steal some type of art. Then they realize they were trying to steal the NFT and they need the artist to do it. So boat chase, they're doing everything to try to, well, this one agent specifically, Abby, very important in the movie, she's going after Kevin and Cyrus and his group with everything, and they get away. So what had ended up happening was they paid the artist $20 million just to get the NFT. And like I said, they were kidnapped, and it was a very famous artist. So it's all over the news. Everybody's going crazy looking for him. The agents are looking for him and everything. And they had this really cool boat party. It was a yacht. They came to a yacht and they were partying all night or whatever. The artist didn't know that people were looking for him, and he was presumed kidnapped until the next day. So this is what ended up happening. The artist was like, how did you kidnap me? What's going on? He's confused. He doesn't know what's going on. He thought he was just having a good time with some new friends. Also, the artist was dude from Spider-Man. I'm gonna put a picture of him like to the side of me. But yeah, that was a cool little Easter egg. Well, not Easter egg, but surprise to me anyways. I love Spider-Man, as you can see. But yeah, so basically their whole thing was they stole a Van Gogh and they sold that for 20 mil to pay the artist the 20 mil for the NFT. And since they kidnapped the artist and he was missing, that drove his NFT's worth through the roof, and they resold the NFT for, was it $89 million? Yeah, so they turned a nice little profit. They turned 20 mil to 89 mil. Really 0 to 20, then to 89 mil. But yeah, that was a nice little profit for them. While all this is going on, there was another person, a sixth person in their crew named Denton. He was the master of disguise, kinda, and he was actually captured by the agent. And Abby, the agent I told you about, she actually has history with Cyrus. They dated for about 5 years in Paris. Not 5 years. 5 days in Paris. Apparently, both of them lied. She was undercover for her job, obviously, and he was undercover for a score, and they ended up dating, and it was like a real good connection at first until she found out who he was and what he did. So now she's been after him and his group for over a year now. And the reason, not even the reason, something funny happened where Cyrus sent her a picture of them kissing and other little mementos. I think it was kind of like to poke fun or to just like remember this. It was a funny little moment. But yeah, Abby, she's determined. She's trying to get him because I guess she feels some type of way. Maybe she feels fooled or something, but she's out to get him. So what ends up happening, her boss ends up going over her head because there's another guy that's in the game. He's even worse. He's the big bad. That's what I'm going to call him throughout the video. He's the big bad. He's this guy who unalives a lot of people and cause a lot of havoc throughout the world for profits. He's a very, very rich man who does not care about anything or anyone as long as it makes him money. He's all about the money. Nothing else matters. So what the boss wants is for Agent Abby to team up with Cyrus and his team to steal $500 million worth of gold. And that's important because the big bad, the big boss, whatever, he's trying to trade that $500 million in gold to get this this outside organization, this other evil organization, to give him this machine that causes like havoc on the environment and natural disasters and everything. And all of this is just to make billions of dollars. It's all for profit. Like I said, he's all about the money. He don't care who ends up unalived. Yeah, so that's bad. Abby is hesitant at first. She don't want to. Like I said, she got a vendetta against Cyrus because of the whole 5 days. And she's very hesitant, but of course she has no choice. Her boss went over her head. He pulled the trump card. She has no choice. But with all that being said, Abby, she knows where he lives. The only reason they haven't got him is because they don't technically have anything to make the charges stick until that heist. So she went to his place and she offered him a deal. She said full immunity for him and his entire crew and the dude that was caught if they do this deal. And Cyrus, even though, it's very obvious that Cyrus has feelings for Abby still, he was hesitant because, like I said, the big bad, the big boss, that dude was nobody to play with. He don't care about nothing or nobody. And Cyrus knows that because dude has a reputation about not caring about nobody or nothing for the money. So he's hesitant. He's definitely very hesitant. And he feels like the corporation, Interpol, the second things went bad, they will leave them out to dry, which he was smart to think that. So he said, we'll do it if and only if Abby joins the group and she's in on the whole heist situation. And that way, he feel like if they got one of their agents on the line, they'll be less likely to leave them out to dry, which was very smart on his part. So, and that's how this whole thing got started. Now, even though Cyrus agreed to do the whole thing, he still has to get his team on board. So he sits them all down. Abby's there. And, he talked to him, explained the situation. And the team is very against it. Because like I said, Big Bad, he got a reputation. Let's just leave it at that. He got a reputation. And everybody's very hesitant, except for the safecracker. I think his name is Magnus. Magnus, he's like, he a little unhinged. So he's like, you know what? I like a challenge. And $500 million worth of gold is a lot, even though they didn't get to keep it. But he was like, you know what, at least I get to see it. It's a lot. So let's do it. But everybody else need a little more convincing, understandably. But eventually they get on board. Eventually. So, and they had 17 days to get the job done. So not a lot of time to do something that basically felt impossible. Because the way they were going to do it was, the gold is being transported to a place I do not remember on a plane. So basically they had to hijack the plane without anybody knowing they were hijacking the plane. So it was very complicated. So they decided the only way this was going to work is, like I said, hijacking the plane. And they had to do that by swapping the signals and making one of their plane, they had to have their own plane, right? They had to make the original plane look like it wasn't going anywhere. They had to swap the original plane with a alternate plane and make the alternate plane go where they were supposed to go, and make the original plane with the gold go somewhere else. That was the whole shebang. There was a lot of technical, gadgety, really action movie spy stuff going on that I do not know how to explain. But yeah, it was very cool, honestly. There was a lot of interesting stuff, and you could tell that they knew what they were doing. There were a couple hiccups, like they had to find a plane, a second alternate plane, which they did not have. But there was this really rich guy who was at the auction at the beginning of the movie, and they decided to go to him to ask for a favor. And apparently he was doing some illegal flying in America's airspace, and he unknowingly confessed that to an Interpol agent. So they basically blackmailed him. It's like, you know what, give me a plane or else you're going to jail for illegal flying. So that worked out fine. And also, at this point, it's very apparent that, Cyrus and Abby, they got this little thing going on, this banter, this little back and forth, these little looks, the whole time. So it's very obvious how this direction is going. Also, they had to figure out how to make the GPS look invisible. So by doing this, they had to bring in a whole new person who was at the right place just in case something went on. Because if it looked like, for even a second, like the plane disappeared, or if there were two planes with the same signal, it would have been game over. So Abby had an idea to bring in this informant who was at the right place, and he had connections with I think airspace the people who basically monitor the planes, make sure there's no crash and everybody get where they're going, that place. So he had somebody that could get him in there. So that was very important. At first he wouldn't do it. He was like, what's in it for me? Abby was like, you get to save a lot of lives, there's people's lives at stake. For some people that would be enough. But this guy was like, okay, and what about it? So Cyrus, being a dude that he is, he like, you know what? I'll give you $1 million. Like it was just $100 or something. So apparently he had it. And then that changed dude's tone very quickly. He was like, you know what? Okay, yeah, when do I start? And I don't blame him. It's $1 million. I would too. But Interpol, also, they had an inside man. That's how they were getting the information about where the gold was going to be, what plane was going to be, all that jazz. But apparently, the inside man ended up unalived. Because like I said, big bad, don't care about nothing and nobody. So yeah, he ended up unalived, and it moved up the timeline from 17, which was 16 days by now, I think, to 10 days, which made an impossible job even more impossible. So that really sped things up for them, a little more urgency. But, at this point, Cyrus feels that the job is too crazy, too hectic, too dangerous. So he's basically telling his team to pull back, to fall back. I promised that I would do something about it. I cannot, in good conscience, lead my team into something that I feel is dangerous. So, but they're good. They're like, you know what? I'm not gonna let you do this by yourself. You can't do this by yourself. They're like a family at this point. So no way they were gonna leave the dude hanging. So at this point in the movie, everything's falling together. Everybody's getting their pieces into place. Everything's going well. And something really cool is happening with the plane. Like they're basically trying to make the plane invisible by using cameras and a bunch of other tech stuff that I cannot understand, but it looked really cool. And as this is going on, Abby's starting to feel like, she's a part of the team. She's getting close to everybody. They're spending time together, going into a life or death situation with each other. So, like I said, she's feeling a part of the team. And it's finally day of. One of the guys backed out because he was like, it's not worth the risk. I do not want to risk my life. This dude's crazy. I'm good. Which leaves the team in a precarious situation. Like, it's not too bad because his job wasn't that big, but you know, it was still something to do. So she ends up having to take over his role, and that ended up, like, she ended up breaking one of the machines that was very necessary in order for it to for the signals to switch on the planes. And it was because of due to some turbulence while they were in the sky, but it was broken nonetheless. So Cyrus, he had to step in to help her build it really quickly because they're on a time crunch. Every part of this plan is timed to a T. And the pilot, Camilla, she's on her way. She's already doing something really dangerous, trying to get these signals to connect. And she's almost there. Funny things ends up happening. There was a line in the bathroom, and they had, like I said, they're in the bathroom trying to fix it quickly. And this dude comes up, he's banging on the door like, come out. So in order to give themselves some more time, Abby improvised it and made it seem like they were compromised. They were doing a little something in the bathroom. And it was funny and weird to watch that man on the other side of the door listening in on them fake doing something. But I also forgot to mention that the big bad put like two dudes in first class, which that's where the whole team was, well, almost the whole team, and like 3 dudes in coach. So one of the dude that was at the door was also one of the dudes, but that's really not that important. But that's just to let you know that there are other people on the plane trying to make sure that goal will get where it's supposed to be. But once the plane connects, everything's good. It looks like that the dude that's at the air traffic place, whatever it's called, he talks to the pilot to say that there's gonna have to be a change in direction because of like some weather issues. So the captain tells everybody on the plane that we got to turn somewhere, and the other dudes who try to make sure they go get where they're going, they're not feeling that. They start, hatching a plan. And apparently they were prepared for something like this to happen because they snuck like these vape cartridges looking things on the plane, and it was connected to a little pum pum. I don't know how YouTube feel about that word, but you know what I'm saying. So they take a flight attendant hostage to try to get into the cockpit to tell them to turn this plane around. We got places to go. Yeah, so Abby, Cyrus have to spring into action to try to get the flight attendant to safety, and also to make sure 2 dudes don't run the plane. So this entire time, there's a fight going on. Dennis was the distraction, and Magnus, he was down there. He's a safecracker. He was trying to get into the vault while there's a big fight in the actual plane area in the first class. The plane is hitting turbulence, and it's just a whole commotion going on. It's literally so much going on in this part of the movie. It's like so much to focus on. So at this point, Mi-sun had locked down the communications. There's no information getting in and out except for from the cockpit with the captains. They're flying the plane, so they need to talk to air control or whatever. But the dudes that are working for the big bad, they can't get any information out. So they're kind of just rolling with the punches right now at this point, because like I said, there's a fight going on and everything. So like I said, they're rolling with the punches. Though the plane had to end up somewhere, I do not know. It's very snowy, there's mountains, and it's a very small, like, I don't know if it's called a runway or wherever the planes land. It's very small, and they basically almost crashed into that runway because this is very impromptu. The pilots did the best they could. But everybody got there safely. So at this point, the dudes win the fight, and they captured Cyrus, they captured Magnus, and they captured Abby. They take Abby and Cyrus. They sent off another dude to unalive Magnus. And the pilot, who was Camilla, she's there. She drove the the alternative plane to where they were to pick them up and the gold up. But obviously that didn't happen because Abby and Cyrus and Magnus, they're all captured. I forgot to mention though, Camilla, when she was flying the plane, she had like a little drone on the plane who actually has the signal. So the drone landed where it was supposed to go, and the big bad found out that it was just a drone, and he's freaking out a little bit because it's like, where's my gold? Where's my dudes? What's going on? But once Cyrus and Abby and Camilla and Magnus is captured, they find a signal and they tell him what happened, and they're gonna use the plane that Camilla flew in to get the gold to where the big bad is. So like I said, they sent another dude to Magnus, but Magnus, he ended up turning the tide. You know, he's a little fighter. He figured out how to disassemble the weapon and he gets away. Now, Camilla, Abby, and Cyrus, they're on the plane with the guy. Camilla's flying the plane, you know, she's the pilot, and they're doing a lot. It's like Cyrus and Abby, they're strapped down, and Camilla made a signal for them to strap down, and she's flipping and turning and doing everything she can to kind of knock the dudes unconscious to get them to get the upper hand so they won't have to send the gold to the big bad dude. And it's a lot. Like I said, there's a whole lot going on. And eventually, the dudes, they don't give up. So eventually, Cyrus and Abby, they have to get out their seatbelts. And, you know, it's another big fight. They're fighting on the plane, trying to make sure that the plane doesn't get to the big bad, so he doesn't get the gold and natural disasters and all that bad stuff ends up happening. One of the reasons Camilla was trying to shake around the plane was like get the panels off the plane, because the panels and the cameras, they were a part of this like way to make the plane in stealth mode, so invisible to everybody. So she was trying to shake them off to get the authorities involved, be like, we're here, come find us, come save us. So the boss that I told you about at the beginning of the video, Abby's boss, he was like, we don't have enough to get big bad. So if he gets that gold, it's going to be disaster after disaster. Millions of people are going to, you know? So he's like, you know what? We're going to get NATO involved. We're going to tell them that they're a group, the Big T. I don't know if you know what I mean, but if you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. The Big T group. And to get them down, to get the plane down by any means necessary. So there's 2 fighter planes warning them. There's like, hey, connect. Let me know what's going on in the plane, or else we're going to have to take the plane down by force. And the dudes, they're still in charge. The bad dudes are still in charge. So they're telling them to remain silent. Don't say nothing. And the dude who's in air traffic control or whatever that place is, he's trying to warn NATO that there are civilians on board. Do not take them down. They're hostages on board. But the boss, Abby's boss, he's like, no, it's fine. Everything's fine. Just take the plane down by any means necessary. So eventually, like I said, Camilla, she's shaking at the plane. She's doing circles or whatever. And she gets a signal from the plane saying that there are civilian hostages on board. Thankfully, because NATO was this close to taking the plane down. So they eventually back off. And what ends up happening is Camilla, the bad dudes ended up getting knocked out. One of them ends up out the plane, one of them knocked out. So Camilla, Abby, and Cyrus, they're on the plane, and they're trying to steer the plane out of where the big bad is, but it's too late. They're too close, and there's like a leak in the plane at this point, so they have no choice but to crash land where the big bad is. That's literally their only option. So that's what ended up happening. They end up crash landing. So they end up there, and the big bad and his men, they're holding them at point, and they're like, who are you? What happened to my dudes? Dudes are gone. Sorry. But they're holding them at point, and they're just like, well, where's my gold? The gold fell out the plane. And there's also a woman there from the other big terrible group who was there to take the gold transaction. And she was like, you know what? There's too much going on. There's government officials involved at this point. I'm good. Deal is over. So the big bad, he was like, oh, no, you don't. We had a deal. And she's like, no, I'm good. We're good. It's too much heat. And he's like, he unalives her, you know? It's like, well, oh well. And then he looking at Cyrus, Camilla, and Abby, like, which one of you are the agents? So everybody's just looking around looking crazy. And Cyrus, he eventually stand up. He's like, I'm the agent. But while all of this is going on, I forgot to mention that when they eventually got captured, they got earpieces in their ear. So their team is listening to everything that's been going down so far. So he basically starts talking about Venice. And the cameras that were from Venice, from the NFT heist, are on the plane. It was a part of the whole stealth mode operation. So the hacker, which is Mi-sung, he was basically signaling for her to record everything that was going to happen to them because they thought this was it. They thought there was no way out. And so that's what she did. She recorded what happened. So she ended up recording the unalivement of the other woman. And he was almost, and they were at that moment where the big bad was pointing the weapon at Cyrus, and it was going to go down. But the local authorities ended up showing up just in time, and they're like, lose your weapons. What's going on here? And Big Bad, he was like, I was just defending my property. They're trespassers. I don't know who these people are. So the local authorities turned their weapon on them. And then Mi-sung, she ended up showing the video of what just happened on the plane. Like the panels on the plane showed the video of what literally just happened. And eventually the other authorities, the Interpol group, they ended up showing up. And I guess now the whole operation was over. And what ended up happening is one of the guys who's around for when Abby's boss did the whole NATO thing, he told Abby what happened. So Abby ended up punching out her boss, and she said, I quit. Because justifiably so. He was willing to not even risk her life, to end her life, which I understand, one for the many. But still, Abby took that personally, and she was like, yeah, I'm done. I quit. So she went with Cyrus and Camilla to meet up with the crew. So another thing that actually happened earlier in the movie, Abby and Cyrus were having a moment, and Abby told Cyrus about this story about how she became an agent, or why she wants to become an agent. She grew up in like this boarding school where her mom was like the headmistress or something, and there's like this super famous painting that was worth a lot that a lot of people tried to buy, but her mother was like, no, I'm never going to sell it because you guys deserve nice things. You guys deserve to dream. So it meant a lot to everybody. So one time, in the middle of the night, somebody came and stole the painting, and Abby was like, whoever did this, I'm going to track them down. I'm going to bring them to justice, So that was the reason why she wants to be an agent, even though she never did track them down. So Cyrus, being the guy that he is, at this point, they're together. Like, it's undeniable. Everything's there. They're together. There's nothing holding them back. Like, he may be a thief and a con artist or whatever, but she's no longer an agent because she quit. So nothing's holding them back. So him being the romantic he is, he decided to track down the dude that actually stole the painting, and he bought it from him. And he gave it back to the boarding school, and that meant a lot to Abby. Like, she was so emotional in that moment. But he was like, you know that feeling you're feeling? Hold on to it, because it didn't go exactly how you thought it went, the heist. So turns out the entire time they had an alternate plan. Remember that guy I told you that got scared and he was like, oh, I don't think it's worth it. Like, maybe I shouldn't go. That was Luke, the engineer. Turns out Luke was still part of the plan. It was just a different plan. So while they were on the plane and Magnus was getting the safe, turns out he switched the gold out for iron bars painted gold. So that was the plan the whole time. And Abby just didn't know because, she wasn't officially on the team yet, but that was the plan the whole time. So the team switched out the gold. The agents, they got the fake iron gold painted bars, and the actual gold was in an ocean somewhere. Like they dropped it from the plane and just hid it in the ocean somewhere. So the movie ends with them going to where the team meeting up, them going to where the gold is, and they find it, they get in it, and everybody's happy, they're together, and yeah, now Abby's officially a part of the team. The team of 6 just became a team of 7, and it was a whole little happily ever after feel good moment. Okay, so this is the part where I tell you what I think about the characters. I'm gonna start with Cyrus. So, which was played by Kevin Hart. I loved his character. He was a really cool dude, and I really liked the fact that they didn't just make Kevin Hart the funny character like he usually is in a lot of stuff I see him in. He was more serious than anything. I mean, there was some funny moments in the movie where he had to play off another character, or an interaction or an occasion happened where he had to be funny, but most of the time he was the boss. He was serious. He had the team together. He was the guy, you know? So I really liked that change in him as far as like a character was. So I thought that was really nice. Next we have Camilla. Camilla was the pilot. I really don't have too much to say about Camilla. She was cool, you know, she played her role. There was a lot of interesting scenes that she was a part of, but it wasn't nothing that kind of really stood out that was too crazy, you know. And honestly, that's the same for a lot of the other characters. I mean, Denton, he was like the mastermind dude who changed his appearance all the time. He was funny, and him and Cyrus had a lot of, you know, friend moments where they were like, when Denton was giving Cyrus advice about what to do with Abby, because it was very apparent to anybody that was paying attention that Cyrus had feelings for Abby, and you know, the vice versa. And yeah, everybody else, Luke, Mi-sung, Magnus, everybody else was really cool. Magnus, oh, you know, I'll give it to him. He had his moments too. He was very funny. He definitely had his, like, because he was the unhinged one, so he had moments where he had to be funny. But like I said, you know, Mi-sung, the hacker, she was nice. She played a very important part in the movie with the whole tech and gadgets and everything, so that was cool. Camilla, I already talked about her, but yeah, it was a good movie. Everybody played off each other well and everything, so I really enjoyed the characters. There was not really too many moments where I was bored in the movie or nothing like that. I was just really captivated in the movie. Like, was it the best movie I've ever seen? No, but it was definitely enjoyable. It actually gave me the vibe of Leverage. I talked about Leverage in another video that I did. It was over Players, which was a good movie. Go watch the video. But Leverage is a TV show about, you know, hacker, the boss, the grifter, the actor, I think I said hacker. But yeah, it's a really good show. Check it out if you get the chance. Like I said Players was like Leverage, but this movie was more so like Leverage. Yeah. But yeah, all in all, I think I would watch this again, but it would have to be a while. Like, I would have to watch it with someone else who hasn't seen it before, or I'd have to watch it to where I was like, it'd been like maybe a year or so and I forgot what happened and everything. I was like, oh, it's a cool little action movie that you can watch every now and then. It has rewatchability, but not for a while. Yeah, but all in all, I actually really enjoyed watching it. Like I said, no boring parts really. Well, mostly, you know, every movie has their parts, but mostly no boring parts. All right, so that is the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like or a comment. I will be doing more videos like this, so if you do not hate what I do, or you know, you enjoy what I got going on, or you want to see more videos like this, please think about subscribing. That would definitely help out the channel a lot, and I will see you guys in the next one.